この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Flip Flappers episode 7, and with this we cross over the midpoint of Flip Flappers. I don't know if that's going to signal a big change in the way that Flip Flappers does things, but I'm kind of hoping that we're going to build toward finding some answers and understanding this crazy world or worlds that we've been presented with over the course of this show so far. If I remember correctly, and I do because I just looked, this episode will be called Pure Component. I theorized last time that maybe that has something to do with component video stuff, but I don't really know how much the whole AV system thing matters in terms of episode content, or if it's just a naming gimmick. But we're in an interesting place for what we know about the world or worlds that our girls are inhabiting or visiting and stuff. One of the things that we found out is that by affecting a pure illusion, we can affect reality as we know it. And we found that out just in the previous episode where we significantly affected Iro in some way. And we don't quite know how, and we don't quite know what. We experienced a bunch of her memories, but not quite her memories, and not quite as her, but as Kokona and Papika being two portions of a split personality Iro in her own past, experienced portions of herself, and then made decisions as her that ended up having ramifications that affect her today in the present or real world or whatever the fuck it is. So this kind of raises some questions. What are the pure illusions exactly? Because sometimes they seem to function as the subconscious or history and past and trauma and the whole sense of identity of an individual. Last episode being probably the most notable of these, where the illusion that we enter is very clearly Iro's. It's very clearly hers. The first layer of it is decked out in all of the same kinds of colors and the same even painting style that some of her paintings are. And then we go a layer deeper, seemingly a metaphor for going into her deeper subconscious, the things that she may have repressed, the memories she doesn't want to deal with or face. And then things changed, and it wasn't really clear. Were we in memories? Were we in subconscious? Were we in her perspective on her memories? Or some mix of the above? I don't really know. And then the question is, if those were her memories, are we actually actively changing her past? And if so, what is our power, and what does it mean to be able to go into the pure illusions of individual people and alter them and have agency and change and choice within the memories or history or existence or subconscious of another individual? I don't fucking know. And it raises the question, if we can change the results, if we can change who Iro is now in our world as we know her in the present, then what is our world as we know it in the present at all? It's not an illusion, right? Or is it? Is it a complicated illusion? Is it perhaps the intersecting point where a shitload of different illusions come together and it is itself no more real than any of them? I don't fucking know, but these are the things that have been on my mind as I've been thinking about Flip Flappers for the last week or so. Lots of questions, not a lot of answers. Hopefully we can maybe start getting some answers, but I don't know. Because for everything that I can come up with, or every theory, it seems to be dashed against the wall by a previous episode. The idea of each pure illusion being an individual's unconscious mind or subconscious doesn't quite work for episode 5, where it seemed like it was more of a meta thing, not satire, but a commentary and not admonishment. I'm looking for the right words, but I can't find them. A jab, let's say, at Class S Yuri manga and Yuri anime. An illusion, an entire world that is functionally a genre. I don't know what pure illusions really are anymore, and I'd like to know, but I'd also not like to know because the mystery is really interesting, but, and here we get to the point where Flip Flappers is doing what Flip Flappers do, which is making your line of logical consideration, your line of logical thought, or at least mine, get muddled and kind of fractally and kind of circular, and make it really difficult to form conclusions. It feels like my thoughts are part of an Escher painting, warping and wefting and mishing and mashing into one another, but not really coming up with a coherent picture that's distinct from the bits and pieces. There are pieces missing, and I'd like to know what those pieces are. All of this to say, I'm really enjoying Flip Flappers so far, and I'd like to watch more. Okay, let's watch more Flip Flappers. So, I've got episode 7 of Flip Flappers up and ready to go. It's pure component, it's sitting at 0 seconds. We're looking at the sign of the art room, so I guess we're starting there. Okay. It's sitting at 0 seconds. There will be 2 versions of this reaction. You can find a picture-in-picture version with a video up there, linked in the description. Nice. And a timer-based version up on YouTube. If you would like to do a syncy thing and sync up your own copy of this episode with the timer-based version, you're welcome to do so. Just get your copy ready because the beep beep timer to count you down will be coming at you now. Art prep room. And smell. And alone. Okay, painting's there. Sniffing her out via the nail polish. And she's outside again. That's for trash. Is she throwing away her art? Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, we changed her. Oh, shit, we changed her in ways that we couldn't have expected. The same thing that was her regret was her muse. You can't fix those problems. They're a part of us. They make us who we are. You can't go in and surgically remove trauma from people. It's part of them. Oh. Oh, we fucked up. Oh, we fucked up. Oh, no. But that means that we have to hurt her if we want to put things back. But there's no right or wrong. The era that is now is no more right or wrong than the artistic one. And she has no conception of herself as the artistic one. Oh. The same thing that was her pain is her talent and her drive. Okay, we have crossed the midpoint. Things are changing. This is different. What are we gonna do? Ah. Which one? It's a very strange angle. A tunnel to hell, eh? Maybe we were already a few steps through it. Oh, that look. Knowing. Okay, looking at the painting again. Mommy, wait, what? Singyu. Ah, a deeper layer? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. They know. They know that we just want answers. Fucking thank you, Hidaka. I'm sure that they won't actually be the answers that we seek. Okay. Thanks, Hidaka. He said some useful stuff there. There was some stuff. Ah. Okay, we're gonna hide it from him? No, okay. 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 That's the case with the amorphous in it. What? We're asking all the questions. Tabun. Yeah. It's as simple as that to her, isn't it? Where are we? No, the color's wrong. Where are we? He's not there. Is no one here? Empty. Hey. Ha. Ha. What is going on? Are we playing off a different genre again? Because the whole instant cry thing that Papika is doing is very strange. And is the Sasuke ne, like, is that a line that I would recognize if I knew more? It might be. It might be. Whoa. What? She says to no one. The road empty. Going through the same motions. This is where we met Papika. And nothing happens. To school. And the classroom is empty. Are you now generic shonen protag boy? Hidaka gone. Salt gone. Secrets? Acoustic foam everywhere. And the computer. Ah. Painted. Nah. I didn't like that. Oh, an Ojo now. Destructive Ojo. And now a punk. What? Uh, uh, All of these alternate what the fuck? I hate it. All of these different variants of Paprika and none of them real. What the fuck? To a shrine? Is she gonna be a shrine maiden? Oh, hi. Indirect kiss. These are all romance setups, but weird ones. And yeah. And there's the realization of the indirect kiss. They're all tropes that we can identify, but they're disconnected and weird. That's a dangerous thought. Oh, hi. Is she wearing devil horns? And she's wearing devil horns. And lipstick? Kiss shot? A dress? Oh boy. There are important things to do. There are important things to do. Ooh. But and she's gone. Again. Ava vibes. Riverside at sunset. Oh, hi. And she's already grabbed it, whatever it was. Does that mean this reality collapses? Classic. And I expect her to be there, right? And I'm saying, oh my god, never mind. What? We get to see stuff in... Uh-oh. Is this where we see Salt sitting in the OP? Is that Salt? A memory? Fuck. Fuck! So whose world was that? Okay, and... Stop. And I'm gonna go to the Endu. Oh, geez, things are gonna be different. Pure breaker. Like a breaker switch? Turn things on and off. Okay. Whose world was that? This time. Whose world was that? Was it Kokona's own world? Empty without anyone else? No connections? Nobody except Papika? And not the real Papika, but because it's her own world, different archetypes that she tried to fit Papika into in order to reach out to the one thing that she was seeking in that world? That tracks, but it doesn't seem right. Why all the different genres? Why all the different, like, rom-com starts? All these different setups. The pair of siblings, the Ikemen sports guy and the indirect kiss, the Yankee punk who they go on like an adventure with. What? What? And the Ojo and the more normal guy, but why empty? Why empty? Why the different genres? Why the different bits and pieces? Because she's desperately reaching out for something that is Paprika? Or is this not her world? Is this someone else's? But I don't know. Why is UXQ gone? What is this world? I'm really uncertain. I have to put some thought into this. He gives us answers, but not answers. Salt gives us more. The bombast of Hidaka's whole thing here and this whole sequence feels so out of place and so strange. It makes me wonder what we're doing with it. With the deep echo on his voice and all this stuff. Subject interrelationships, a world of ideas. Not of individuals, but of interrelationships. Collective ideas. Okay. So if that's our starting point, collective ideas, then that functions for episode 5. For the class as Yuri. Here's the collective idea of what a Yuri romance in fiction should look like. Now you're in it. Now you're a part of it. Now you're being observed by it. Now you're the main characters of it. Interrelationships. But Iroh's world was more personal. There were interrelationships within it, but not to the same degree. Okay. Okay. Imperfect interaction is what defines our existence. That rings true and accurate. The inability to accurately express what you intend. The gaps in communication. That tracks. What does it mean? Don't want to go again. Okay. And then, let me see. There's a sequence with salt in the OP. Give me a sec. Okay, I was just skipping over it. It's right here. And it is the same landscape that we see at the end. A different place, a different pure illusion. It still seems to be a younger salt. Okay. And then Mimi. Who is Mimi? Is she the woman in the boat? A memory of Paprika's. moving forward toward her, or an explosion from her. Sorto, one eye closed. You know, I noticed that when we saw his glasses before, we could see the iris of one eye but not the other. Maybe he's injured in one. And he's screaming out for Mimi. And that's her. And she's holding someone, right? Like, that's a baby, right? A child. And then this is Mimi. Kokona? I'm sorry. Yeah, and then she looks lovingly at the child before disappearing. Sacrificing herself to save her daughter? Kokona? Papiko is the same age. Was Mimi her original partner? Maybe. Maybe. Fuck, there are too many unknowns. But he hears. It's different. Okay. I'm gonna go walk around, get my blood moving, maybe think about this episode, see if I can come up with anything that, like, clicks or makes sense. Give me a minute, I'll cut here. See you in a bit. Okay, I found one source of my confusion, and it is in Dr. Salt's explanation here. Also useful to look at because I can verify what I was seeing before, which is that we see one of his eyes and not the other. But what's important here, and I put this whole speech through Google Translator as well as I was able to, and it comes down to this line. Yeah, Masatsu no nai utopia. This phrase, Masatsu no nai, doesn't quite mean what it's translated as. A utopia of perfect interaction is like the flip side of it. What he's saying is a utopia without any conflict, and Masatsuno can be either conflict or friction. I think friction is the right one. Okay, and it has to do with our mental images, the paradigms that we, our lenses. That's better. The paradigms that we've created that are built up of all of our experiences, all of our traumas, all of our existences, all of the patterns and pathways that we've found that help us interact with the world. When, how do I put this? Tea jar. No. Yes. Maybe. Kind of. Okay. This is a jar. It's a mason jar. It's a shaped piece of glass. It has tape around it that has TBTW written on it in Sharpie. It's full of this liquid. All of these things are individual, but I'm familiar with this object. I've used it before. I know what it's for. I know how I've interacted with it in the past. My lens on this object is not shaped piece of glass with TBTW written on it. It's, this is my tea. I drink it. I jump from step 1 to step like 8 because I understand all the steps in between, and they've been folded down into something that's perceived and understood by the lens of perception that through which I understand the world. In the same way, when you meet a person, say you meet a person named Johnny, right? Johnny's a human being. Human beings are immensely complex, right? Layered beyond belief, to the point where one human being could never hope to understand another human being. Hell, we can't understand ourselves, but we have to interact with each other. So what do? We form a perception of who Johnny is, what they mean to us. They're a friend, a family member, something else, a person that we can fit into a category that we can place, and then we can interact with not them, but our model of them, right? So we create a model of who Johnny is and how Johnny will react to the things that we say to Johnny. It's formed on our previous experiences with Johnny and our previous experiences with other people and the things that we can relate between them. Then when we look at Johnny, we don't see the immensely complex entity that is the human being Johnny. We see Johnny, and we know how to interact with Johnny because it's simplified, because we've cut down all the complexities that make Johnny Johnny into something that we can actually deal with, that we can interact with. However, while this enables communication in the broader sense, because it would be utterly impossible otherwise, we'd be lost in a sea of input, pure input, you could say. Our perceptions, our lenses enable us to interact with them, but we're not actually interacting with them. There is friction. There is conflict there because the model of Johnny is not Johnny any more than the idea of tea-jar is the tea-jar, right? It's not the same thing, and so there's inevitably friction. There's conflict between the things that would work when we interact with the model of Johnny as we have them, and the inevitable complexities and differences that are the real Johnny and the fake Johnny, the one that we've made as an image, a symbol, an idol almost, right? But we can never really get past our layers of idols, our layers of symbols, our layers of lenses. We have to use them because the world is too complicated otherwise. So we create a pure illusion of Johnny, and that's what we interact with, right? But there are differences, so there's friction. So the things that we say to Johnny don't quite get through to Johnny. The things that Johnny says don't necessarily quite fit the image of Johnny that we have, and we shape it, and we shift it, and we change it, and we get closer to the reality, but not to it, right? Okay, so a big portion of my confusion comes to that point, and I still haven't gone through most of the episode, so I'm gonna go walk around again because that worked. Ha! I feel like I've made headway. Okay, gonna continue. Be back in a bit. Okay, there's another layer to that, and a more important one maybe. Our lenses are different. Everyone has one, and everyone sees everything differently. My lens for Johnny is different from your lens for Johnny, right? Likewise, those lenses extend not just to people, as Hidaka kind of says. It's not just people which affect it, it's everything in existence, everything that can be observed at least, right? So my idea of tea-jar is different from yours, right? And so when I say tea-jar and I think my image of tea-jar, you don't necessarily think that. There's a loss of information in communication. The same goes for when we use overloaded words with multiple meanings, right? Sit or set, right? Words that have innumerable meanings, shitloads of different meanings. It's hard for you as an individual to parse via your lens what I mean when I'm saying set or sit, unless you have all the context clues necessary. It takes more energy to express that one simple thought because there's that friction, and to overcome that friction requires more input in the form of context, right? In the form of the words around sit or set that give it meaning, that give it the additional meaning. But each of those words is also overloaded and also a problem, so we have to put exponentially more energy into actually communicating. Our illusions are the barriers between us, even if they are also the bridges that enable us to connect to one another. Oh, okay, definitely feel like I'm making strides. Cool, good. Gonna continue. Then we get to here, and I think this is the point where we should talk about the opening sequence with Iro and changing her. I'm just afraid we might change something again. This is actually really familiar territory for Kokona, right? What was it that weighed on her so heavily in the beginning? It was choices and consequences, right? A fear that anything she would do would lead to problems, that she would cause problems. And now it's compounded. Now that she realizes that she has changed Iro, she feels that guilt. She's afraid. We learn other things in the Iro segment, and I think it's one of the most poignant ideas in the episode, and it kind of amazes me that it isn't the focus of the episode, because to get an idea like this across is amazing, and to do it in the first moments of this episode, based on everything that we had in the previous one, is just stellar. we spent the entirety of the previous episode changing Iro, right? Fixing the trauma that was holding her back, fixing the problem. And it felt good and it felt right. And if I recall correctly, I cheered for it. I was happy about it. We saved her. We did it, right? But it's not that simple, is it? That trauma, that existence, that was a part of her. And taking those things away is taking away a part of a person, a part of who she is. The ripple effects that has are unfathomable, things that can't be predicted. There's no way that we could have predicted that removing the thing that was holding Iro back would also remove the thing that enabled her to be Iro, right? To be the person that we knew. We changed her, we broke her, and fixed her at the same time. One illusion exchanged for another. And so Kokona finds that she's back where she started. Before, pure illusion was presented to her as, well, just that, pure and illusory, not real. A place where she could take action, where she could play all day in the snow and mess around with Paprika and run around having fun and stuff with no consequences on the real world. Now she knows they're connected, and that's scary because she never overcame that struggle that she had at the very beginning. She just found a way around it. She never overcame the fear of consequences, the fear that she would cause changes that she couldn't control or predict. And now, thinking that she'd escaped them, she made changes, and they caused changes. They caused consequences that she couldn't predict and doesn't want. So she's scared. She doesn't want to go to pure illusion again. She's scared. And it sucks. Everyone around her, the salts, the hidakas, they just push her forward. You're the only one who can go. You have to go. Gotta go collect the fragments. It's what only you can do. And Salt's previous or Hidaka's previous explanation is like it's so weird. I don't know what to say about it. This whole sequence where he's disconnected from reality, taking these crazy poses. It's so over the top, Gurren Lagann over the top-y. Not in that it's like a reference to Gurren Lagann, but it's in the same vein of crazy superpowers, we can do it type of stuff. But it's not really anything but fluff. It's, I don't know, fantasy. It doesn't help. It doesn't fix what Kokona's trying to work through. It's not good. But this is good. This is something. I'll catch you if you're about to fall. And it's a promise that we do fulfill by the end of the episode. And that's kind of lovely. It all comes back to Paprika. In this moment as we enter the illusion, it all comes back to Paprika, the one person who's maybe safe, even if we don't understand her, even if there's friction between our conceptions of Paprika and the reality of Paprika. Even if it's difficult, she's all there is. And so we enter an illusion, and we find that we've entered it alone. That there's nobody here. Nobody. It's empty. What does that mean? It means no consequences, right? If being in a pure illusion and interacting with or changing Iro is what we fear, and our fears help shape the illusion that we enter, then why not an illusion where there's nobody, where there's no chance of causing any harm, no chance of interacting, no chance of anything. So that's what we get. An empty world. No Uetsukiru, no grandma, no nobody. Just Paprika and not Paprika. Images of Paprika, illusions of Paprika, figments of Paprika, what Paprika could be, and like fractal aspects of Paprika, portions of what she is to Kokona, bits and pieces. The little sister who dotes on her but is emotional and unpredictable, who becomes sad at the drop of a hat, who Kokona wants to keep happy. The food is getting cold. Fine, I'll eat. No, it's good. Someone who's there for her, but also simultaneously is dependent on her. Someone who needs her. And she needs to be needed. So this is an aspect of Papika that she wants. That she enables to be in her world. That she tries on. A possible Papika. And then the bathroom. What's odd is this sequence doesn't read as sexualized. I thought it was at first, but it doesn't read that way. At all. It's kind of pure. Maybe that's the point. If Papika is a sibling to us, then we can have this kind of intimacy without it being strange, without it being something else, without it being sexual, without it being dangerous, maybe. What is it that causes her to... Oh. It's the mirror. It's the mirror. This version of Papika can't... No, it's not that it can't fathom itself, it's that it's not right. The friction makes it disappear. Maybe. No. Yes, but no. Yes, but no. This figment of Papika, this idea of her, this lens of her, it falls apart when it sees itself in the mirror. As though it can't understand itself, or it recognizes its own unreality, that it's not right. I don't know. But she's gone, and she's gone. We open the next morning, and the familiarity is interesting. These are cuts that we've seen before, episode 1, and there was another episode where we repeated them as well. This is the same, but before it was her grandmother there. The same moment in front of the mirror, the same itekimasu, the same scenes here, just uninterrupted. Papika never shows up. The same shot of the school, the same shot of Kokona, but everything's different. It's familiar. It's the norm. It's the everyday, day-to-day. It's comfortable? Maybe. Nobody's here. But then Papika is here. But it's a different Papika. A boy or a tomboy sitting behind her. And the interactions that they have are playful, teasy. Romantic. Let's ditch together. Adventurous, pulling her outside, pushing her forward. This Papika's shoes are the same as Kokona's. And then, yeah, the whole aloof thing. And then she lands on her feet, and this Papika is gone. Unknown why this time. Was it a reflection in the window? No, if it was something so clear, we would have seen it. Yes, it really is illusion. So we take the elevator, we go to Flip Flap, and it's empty too. We enter into Salt's private office, seeking answers perhaps, and we find another Papika. A creepy Horror movie Paprika. Underneath here. She looks like... Ah, shit, whatever, it doesn't matter. She's spooky. You think you can just look in there, and then she sort of tempts her. Not gonna look? Wanna look together? Let's do it together. Someone who can push her comfort zone, push her past boundaries, help her to examine things. Another side of Paprika. And what we find is the nail clippers. An echo of Iro, but not really related. Just a symbol. With a loose relationship. And then she fucking warbly warps out of existence, which is the worst. It's just the worst. Please no. Flip flap, no. Empty, an empty world. And we meet the Ojo Paprika. Creative and goofy, destructive and childish, elegant and not. A contradictory Paprika. Another figment, another fragment. How about the punk Paprika? For her to be the good girl too. And to take on other adventures. To play dress up with and be goofy. And then they both end up as kind of Yankee characters. And have adventures together. And then she has adventures with all of them. All the different Paprikas. All the different possibilities. But none of them are real. Or right. I don't really know what this one's supposed to be. Kind of an idol girl? I don't really know. Super obsessed with appearance? Probably. Ugh. I don't like it. And then there are these strange disconnected shots of stuff. Things in the world. A wrongness to it all. So we make our way to another location, a temple, a shrine. We get an Ikemen Paprika. With romance everywhere. The indirect kiss with the Ramune. The water making their, her, his, it doesn't matter, it's a figment. Shirt transparent. An object of interest and sexual interest. All of these different things, like slices of a pie chart that is the whole that is Paprika, but at the same time missing a dimension, missing the complexity of the real thing. Fantasies, little stories, possibilities. And then there's this one. The devilish Paprika. The succubus. I'll always love you. The temptress. Does it have to be the right Paprika? Why not me? Why not settle for a fantasy? Do you love me then? Do you mean as a friend? Even saying that, just it makes the alternative... It makes it clear that the alternative is what they're really talking about. Not as a friend. Romance. Why does it have to be like that? Why do they have to be different? And a measure of acceptance, I suppose, is reached. Suddenly, they're in sensual clothing. Temptation, temptation. But I have to look. It's not that you're not good enough. This place, this world of fragments, of falsehoods, this illusion is fun. All of these illusions have been fun. All of these illusions of Papika, these specters, these fragments, these unrealities have been fun, and it's been enjoyable to play with them, free of consequence as far as we know. But it's not real. I need to get back. Have fun being boring. But it's reality that Coconut craves. The real Papika. I have to look for Papika. Not a fake one, not a figment, the real Papika. And then there's this scene. It's so clearly an intentional reference to Ava, to the train. It's weird. It's on the wrong side, though. If I recall correctly, Shinji was over there. Doesn't matter. We're in the mind now, though. We have been the whole time, but we're realizing it, becoming aware. Revelations inbound. So we enter another trope, another fairy tale almost. In the same way that the girls in the ED cross the boundaries between different stories and fairy tales, the girls in this episode cross the boundaries between different archetypal scenes and sequences, sitting at the shrine and meeting the Ikemen, sharing a secondhand kiss, sitting in class right in front of the adventurous boy skipping out on school, helping and doting on the punk, bringing them around. They're all stories. They're all repeated. They're all cycles. So is sitting by the riverbank at sunset and expressing a deep emotion, or screaming it out into the void. We see that the trio is already here, and they pay her almost no attention, the amorphous having been grabbed, her none the wiser. What if I can never go back? Fear. And then she screams out. Friction or no, she tries to communicate to the real Papika. Where'd she go? And then the hole is there, threatening to consume her, the darkness. What is it? Hopelessness? I don't know. The distorted sounds are fucking nuts. And she begins to fall. But there's somebody who's made a promise. Bam. A spaceship made of the tunnel. A safe place, a safe spot. To grab her and reel her in. The real Papika. No illusions. And the world folds around them. I found my lost coconut. What do you mean? I was the one looking for you. You were the one who was lost. Oh. No. It was about me. It was about my perceptions of others. It was about the way I viewed you. I was lost. It was just that I couldn't find you, and so I thought you were the lost one. Oh. And so together, in our weird portal ship, We make our way back home. And we see this. Yayaka's on the outs with her organization. The other two were called amorphous children? Uh-huh. Okay. I was the only one who didn't know about that hole. And the amorphous children are superior in every way. You can't collect these crystals on your own, and you've been supplanted. You're obsolete. There is someone better than you. So we have no reason to keep you around. And this eats at Yayaka. Do you feel it? Yeah. He. Not many left now. We're getting close to whatever the hell their goal is. And Yayaka is expendable. Which means that there's a chance she could turn, or at the very least give us some useful information. That's helpful. Okay. Amorphous children who are better than you in every way. Weird. I mean, the twins have always seemed inhuman. This implies that they're maybe, I don't know, formed from fragments of pure illusions or something? Amorphous children. But we don't know what the amorphous are capable of or what they do. They appear at the cores of pure illusions. I don't know what they are. Are they the condensation of a perspective, a lens, a person's worldview? Maybe. I don't know. Don't know. And then, Kokona and Papika arrive in this strange, twisted landscape, a familiar landscape that we've seen in the OP. And Soruto is here, working. But he's different. It seems like he's not quite the same Soruto. I'm not sure if I'm just reaching here. Maybe it's because of the hat and stuff, and he's just trying to be undercover or inconspicuous, but it strikes me as different, a different version of him. Maybe a figment. I don't know. But they arrive here and immediately begin kind of playing around. They start glowing. The fragments start glowing. Then Papika has this flashback. Mimi. Her and Soruto losing someone. Someone important to both of them. Especially important to Salt. We didn't see Boo in there, did we? No. But he felt that too, whatever it was. He's clinging on to it for some reason. Okay, this feels like a big old turning point in the course of Flip Flappers. We got answers that weren't answers, but they're still far more than we've had before. Got some insight into what pure illusions might actually be, and I think that I'm on some of the right tracks, and also some of the wrong ones. I know that I'm off in some ways, but I don't know how. Otherwise, I'd fix it. Okay, there's some history with Salt that we definitely need to know about. It was already implied when we saw the younger him, at least I think it's a younger him, leaning against the same chair in the OP, but now it's further implied. There was something that happened with Mimi, and something that happened with the loss of one of his eyes. And Papika's been around since then, and I'm guessing that Mimi is the woman in the boat, and I'm guessing that Kokona is the head of hair that we see in Mimi's arms as she disappears. Probably some form of self-sacrifice. Maybe turning herself into only illusions, only memories within Kokona, which is how she communicates with her in the boat sequences, the dreams. Maybe. Too much we don't know. In any case, I think this was a really cool episode. I think it was really well put together. It definitely strung me along and had me very confused. I had to rewatch most of it to get a handle on what was going on here, but once pieces started clicking into place, it started to make a lot more sense. That we're not seeing Papikas, we're seeing viewpoints on Papika, possible Papikas, from Kokona's perspective, elements of her, things that are valuable about their relationship, things that Papika could be to her. And over the course of interacting with all of them, we reject each of them, sort of, and come to the conclusion that the real one is what we want, complicated or not, friction or not, fluid or not. It's the real deal that we need, the one that we don't understand, the one that we can't categorize, the one that isn't simple. And so it makes a statement about our interactions and relationships with people, that we should reject the ideas that we have about them, that we should actively try, and it's impossible, but we should still strive to tear down the stereotypes and categories and images that we use to interact with others, and try, impossible though it may be, to reach them at their core. To know that we can't ever understand their complexity, and that's okay. That's normal, and they'll never understand ours, but we can try and we can be with them. And if we want to have real relationships, we need that as a starting point. I think that's pretty fucking cool. I think that's pretty darn good. I'd love to hear what your takes on this episode are. We're going to wrap up soon, but I would love to hear what your takes on this episode are, where you think I've maybe gone astray, and where you've taken your own insights from this episode and come away with something. Because this is a really cool one. A weird one, but a cool one. I'm excited to be crossing the middle point and seemingly a turning point in terms of how much information we have and the direction of the story, because we've been relatively directionless so far. Yayaka and the Asclepius cult have been there, a looming threat of sorts, but without more understanding, we can't really get behind them. We can't really comprehend stakes. So it feels like we're turning into the direction of a more coherent conflict, perhaps. And that could be really good for the story. Or it could be really weird. I don't really know. In any case, this was a good episode of Flip Flappers. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Flip Flappers episode 7. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I hope to catch you next week when we watch episode 8. See you there. Peace.